Well, here's what I'd like to cover today is give a high-level overview of what TradingView is. We'll walk through the initial setup process, some of the basic functions, then we'll go ahead and create a chart together, and I'll show you my personal daily routine. Now, I take about an hour or two every single day to go through hundreds of charts. You don't have to do that. You can take a few minutes. You can look at this every few days, once a week, however you'd like, but I'm going to show you my personal routine. So here I am over at TradingView.com, and once you're logged in, this is what the home screen is going to look like. And by the way, you can download an app to your mobile device, like your phone, smartphone, or your tablet, and you can do a lot of these. You can have all the same functionality right through your app. So I highly encourage that. So what I do once I'm logged in, I click the chart button, and it's going to open up the layout that I have saved. And I'm going to show you how to set all this up. So let's go ahead and just give a high-level overview of this panel here. Starting over on the far right here, you can see these up-down buttons. This is your order panel, and you can actually integrate TradingView with the several brokerages. I don't use this function, but it is available. And if you were to do that, you can put these red and green arrows on your screen and actually buy and sell right from your chart. So that's kind of neat. You can also get notifications from other TradingView users. You can subscribe to other people who publish on the platform. So TradingView is actually also a social media platform as well. I don't particularly use it for that, but you can if you like. You can get a stream of ideas from other TradingView users. You can communicate with other TradingView users through private chats and public chats. You can see your own ideas that you've published. You can see the calendar here. You can create hot lists. You can create a data window. And you can use this news panel here. I actually use this quite a bit. So you can see here I've got First Majestic selected. And if I just go ahead and click on that, it's going to bring up all the recent news headlines for First Majestic. So that's kind of nice. And then above that, you have alerts. You can actually set your own alerts up in TradingView, which is really powerful. And you can see what alerts you have set. I don't currently have any. And then, of course, here is your watch list. You can create as many watch lists as you like. I've got one master watch list here. And you can see how that's all broken down. And if I go ahead and click on any of these, it's going to pull up the chart for that given stock or ETF or commodity. Now, coming across the top here, you can publish your ideas to the TradingView platform so other TradingView users can see it. You can hit this camera button here, take a snapshot of your chart, and generate a link. And you can send that link to whoever you like. Or you can go ahead and click this and then save the image to your computer as a file, which is kind of nice too. You can maximize it, go to full screen mode. And then here is all of your chart properties. I highly encourage you to click on this icon and mess around with it and see what you like. You can change the colors of your candles, the background, your scales, however you like. I prefer the black background with no grids, and I like these green and red candles. But you can set it up however you'd like. You can see here is the layout you'd like, and they have all these options to choose from. I typically either have just one chart in full screen mode, or I'll go to this one here and see the chart in multiple time frames. So here I have a longer term weekly chart, daily chart, an hourly chart, and a 5-minute chart. But you can do whatever you'd like. There's all of these different options here. You see this replay button here. I don't particularly use this very often, if ever, but you can go ahead and replay some of the day's action and see, kind of simulate how you would have reacted. And that's more for, I would say, active day traders. Now you can set alerts. This one is very powerful, and I use this very frequently. So you can set a price alert for when price crosses a moving average, when it crosses a certain level, when a certain indicator, like a MACD crosses, or when RSI reaches a certain level. It's a really powerful tool, and I use these quite frequently. And you can set yourself up to get notified via email, a pop-up, or a text message. And I've got that set up. So I like to get text messages whenever I set an alert, and that will prompt me to go ahead and look at the chart and see if I want to initiate a trade or investment. Coming across here, you can see you can set different templates, and I'll show you how to do that here in a minute. But I've got 5 different templates that I set up. So this is the one I use most frequently. I just called it Daily Basic. You can call it whatever you like as you create it. And when I click on that, it's going to pull up the template that I created. And I like to have a 50-day moving average, a 200-day moving average, my volume, and RSI. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of those because we're going to build this from scratch. So I'm going to hit remove all drawings and indicators, and now we're back to scratch. Coming across here, you can see the financials and fundamentals for a given stock. You can add a whole bunch of different indicators. You can compare the stock you currently have to other stocks. So you can create a comparison chart. You can select how you want your candles to be displayed, or you can select bars if you prefer, or a line chart. I like candles. Most people like candles. And then here you can select different time frames. So if I click on 5 minutes, it's going to make these candles 5 minutes. Each candle represents 5 minutes of trading action. Or I can hit 1 hour, daily, weekly, or monthly. And if you want other options, you can hit this drop down and select other ones. The ones that I have starred here are my favorites, and they're the ones that will be displayed up here, so I can just click on them. Now you see here, this is the symbol. This is where you can type in the stock you'd like to look at. So for example, if I want to pull up First Majestic, I'll just type in AG. An easier way to do that would be to just click on the chart, and you can just type in AG, and that makes it nice and simple. Or you can come over to your watch list and just click on it from there. Either way will work, and it's really whatever you prefer. Now coming down this left side here are all of your different drawing tools and indicators that you can add. I shouldn't say indicators, but these are all your drawing tools. There is a ton of functionality here, and it can be a bit overwhelming, and I tend to stick to the basics. So as we build this chart out, I'll show you the basic tools and functions that I use. Now before we start building a chart, I want to show you how to create a watch list. I would say if you're brand new and you're just created your own account, this is the place to start. So I've already got my watch list created, but let's say I don't. I'm going to go ahead and create new list. So you can call it whatever you want. You can call it master watch list. You can call it precious metals. You can call it uranium, whatever you like. So I'm going to call it demo. I'll hit save. And of course, there's no symbols added here. So to add symbols, I just hit this plus sign. Now this is a nice little trick I'm going to show you here. So I like to break my list down into categories. So let's say I wanted to categorize all my uranium stocks and then have a list, all the stocks right below that. Uranium, if I just type out uranium, that's not a ticker, right? There's no actual, symbol, URANIUM. So if I hit that, it shows up in red. And red is telling you, hey, there's no symbol for that. But that's okay. I like that because it helps me to organize. So now I'm going to type in my uranium stocks below that. So let's say I want to add CCJ, that's Cameco. I'll hit this plus button and add a couple more. Energy Fuels, that's UUU. Hit enter. How about one more? I'll do Denison, DNN. Hit enter. And I can do that as many times as I like. And this showed up red here because I hit U too many times. So I'll delete that, and there we go. Now you can organize these however you want. Some people you might do it by market cap, you might do it by position sizing, or you might not care about organizing it. I like to organize mine according to position sizes in my portfolio. So let's just say Energy Fuels was my biggest position size in my uranium portfolio. I'd drag it right to the top there, and you can rearrange them. Maybe Denison is above that. I could grab CCJ and just drag it down. All right, now let's say I want to add some precious metal stocks. So this is my own technique. I'm just going to write precious metals. Or how about I write PM miners? You can categorize these, use these labels however you like. Now again, it's red because there's no symbol for PM miners, and I like that. I use that to my advantage so I can organize. Now let's say Wheaton Precious Metals I want to add. And how about First Majestic, AG? And how about some Silvercrest? And you can see, you can keep going down the line. Let's say you were into cannabis stocks. I guess that's actually a symbol, so it didn't show up red, so that won't work. How about pot stocks? There we go. And then I can add, let's say, what's one? How about ACB? That's a cannabis stock. And I could keep doing that as often as I'd like, or add as many as I'd like. Now, I'll also mention here, you can do cryptocurrencies. So let's say I want to create another little section here for crypto. Say I want to do Bitcoin, so it's BTC, and I want it in US dollars. So BTC USD, and there you can see the Bitcoin price. And you can do that for, I believe it's the top 100 cryptocurrencies by market cap. So how about Stellar Lumens, XLM, USD? Yeah, and so there you go. You can actually track crypto on here, which is really nice. A lot of softwares don't allow you to do that. All right, so now let's go ahead and talk about how to create a template. So if you're following along, the first thing I would do is create my list. The second thing I would do is create at least one template. One may be all you need if you're brand new. So I'm going to click on silver, and we'll build a silver template. So all I like to do, I like to keep my charts nice and clean. Some people like lots of indicators on there, and that's perfectly fine. So I like a 50-day moving average, a 200-day moving average, and volume. And that's really about it. Occasionally I'll add RSI. That's Relative Strength Index. So the way to do that, I come over here to Indicators. I'll click on it, and I'll just type in moving average. I could scroll through and find it, but there's so many in there that it could be hard to find. So there's moving average. There it is. I'll click on it, and you can see it added it to the top left here. And I'm going to add another one because I want the 50 and the 200-day. Now what I'm going to do is come over here and double click on that and then hit settings, and I'm going to change it to what I would like. You can also just double click on the line there and then right click and hit settings. Here are my inputs. So I want, instead of the 9-day moving average, I want a 50-day moving average, right? And I want it to be on the close, no offset or anything like that. I want it to be the same as the symbol. I'm not messing with these other things, just the length. So I want 50. And then for style, I like to have my 50-day moving average be blue, and I like it nice and thick. So you can see here there's different thickness. I like 50 and I like it thick, and I'll hit OK. So there's my 50-day moving average. Now let's go ahead and change this one to a 200-day moving average. So I just click on it and then right click, hit settings, and I'm going to change the length of time this time to 200. And style, I like my 200-day moving average to be yellow. You can make it whatever color you like. And I like full thickness, and I'll hit OK. So there's my 50-day moving average and my 200-day moving average. Now the last thing I'll add here is volume. So I'll click indicators. I'm just going to type in volume, click on it, and now my volume shows up. Now you can see here the volume, the way it defaults is on the same pane as price, and it can overlap sometimes like down in here. So I don't really like that. I like to keep it separate. So what I'm going to do is just click on it, then right click, hit settings, and by the way here, for inputs, you can see 20-day moving average length. It'll show you the moving average of your volume. So there's really no right answer here. I use 90, and then I'll come over to style. I like green and red. That's nice and simple for me. I like to have the volume on there, or excuse me, the average volume. So that's volume moving average, and you can see that added that line, and that shows me the average volume over the last 90 days. So now I can tell if the volume is above average or below average, because strong volume confirms technical signals. A technical signal on strong volume adds confirmation to that signal. So I'm going to go ahead and hit OK, and then I'm going to come over to Move To, and I'm going to hit New Pane Below. See, now that makes it just a separate pane, so that's nice and clean. And I don't really like the volume to take up that much of the screen, so I can just grab this and drag it down a little bit. So that's really it for me. That's how I create my charts, and this is my go-to template for a daily chart. So now if I want to save this template so I don't have to go build that every time, right? I can come up here to Templates, Save Indicator Template, and I can just call it whatever I want. So I'll call this one Demo 1. You can call it whatever you like, and then I'm just going to hit Save. And now if I go select one of my other indicators or one of my other templates that I have up here, I can come back to this one here, Demo, and it brings it right back. So that's kind of nice. It saves me time. Now, if I want that new template to be saved right here, so I can just click on it, I'll come over to Demo and just click that little star, and now it shows up here, right here, Demo 1. So I can just click that anytime, and it's going to pull up that chart. All right, so far, we have created a master watch list, and we've created our first template. Now, the last thing I want to do here is just walk through how to build a chart. And there, like I said, there's just so much functionality here that I don't want to get too in the weeds. I just use the bare bones basics. I shouldn't say bare bones, but I like to keep things pretty simple. So the first thing, whenever I sit down to analyze a chart, I want to see if there's any clear horizontal support or resistance levels. That's the most powerful tool you can use in technical analysis, and it's really simple. Now, for it to be valid, horizontal support and resistance has to be obvious. It can't just be lines that cut through all kinds of price bars. So one jumps out here at me here is this one. You can see if I hover over here, this little crossbar draws a nice clean line right across here. So that's a pretty key support level. So maybe I want to draw a line there. So what I'll do to my drawing tool, now here's all the different kinds of lines I could draw. So I'll grab a horizontal ray, they call it, just click that, And now wherever I click, it's going to put that horizontal array right there. And I can see all the way over here on the right that that's at $18.90. Now, if I click on this line, I can do some other things if I'd like. So I come to settings and I can change the color of it. I like to make my support lines green and resistance lines red. You can change the thickness over here under style. Maybe you want to make it thin. Maybe you want to make it a dotted line or a dash line. I like solid lines, and I like them thick enough as long as they don't obscure any other relevant data. I don't want them too thick where it's covering, too much like a wick or any other annotations I have. Now you can add text to this if you'd like. So if you want to just write like say $18.90, type that in there, and then you can decide, do you want it on the bottom, the top, or the center? So you can see in the center there, I don't really like that because it's covering price bars. So in this case, I'd probably hit settings again, text, and rather than center, I'll put it all the way over to the left. Now, whenever you have like a major top, that's going to be resistance whenever you get back up there. So I can hover over this candle, and then if you look over in the top left corner over here, when I hover over it, I can see the open, the high, the low, and the close. So that H there shows me the high was $29.92. So I'd like to draw a resistance line there. So I'm going to grab this horizontal array, come over and hover over the top of this candle and drop it. And now since this one is resistance, personally, I like to make it red. So I'm going to grab red. And then how about I put some text on there. I'm going to write 29.92. Why don't I draw one more here? And I'll show you a different way to do this. So you can see here this is more, I would say this is support right here at about $22.50. So you can see I'm hovering over this. This is real clear support. Now another way, rather than horizontal ray, you can see the horizontal ray extends off, indefinitely. It just keeps going and going. That can affect where your text goes. So another way to do that is just to simply draw a trend line. So that's the top one here. And this is support, so I like it green. So I click on it, come over to settings. We'll make this green, and I'll make it a little bit thicker. So I'm going to give it full thickness. And then text, we'll just call it 2650, or excuse me, 2250. And this time you can see it's kind of in those price bars. So how about I put it on the bottom? And then I can come over here to coordinates. Now let me move this little diagram here, and let's get it exact. But let's say I want to really be precise, and I wanted the bottom of this candle right here to be the level. So I hover over it, and I look up on the top left, and I can see the low of that day was 2262. So I'll change my text to 2262. And then I can come to coordinates and set that bar to be precisely at $22.62. So I'm going to type in 2262, hit OK, and now boom, that bar is precisely at 2262. All right, so that's the first thing I look to do, is add horizontal support and resistance. Now the next thing I look for is any clear trend lines. Now again, they have to be obvious. If it's not obvious to everyone, it's not valid. So you can maybe kind of see one right here, a little short-term trend line. And by the way, you can zoom in just by scrolling in and out here. So I would probably be, and that allows me to be a little bit more precise. So I'm going to click on the trend line button, and I'm going to draw a little short-term downtrend line here. Now there's debate on trend lines if you only use the wicks or the actual body of the candle. Let me click on here. So you can see here, I use the wicks. I went from the wick, and it connects to that wick to that wick. Now, there's no right or wrong answer on that. I say use whatever makes the most sense, whatever is more obvious. If you started at the wick here and then it connected to the two bodies of the candle here, that's totally fine. Trend lines are a little bit subjective, so you want to just do what's obvious to everyone. So you can see here today, this is bullish. We got price breaking out above this downtrend line, and you can see volume is strong. The market hasn't closed yet, so it's probably going to be well above average volume, breaking this downtrend line, and price is struggling here right at this 50-day moving average. You can see how these levels really do matter. I've been saying for a couple weeks here, once price gets above this downtrend line, you can expect it to really go, and that's exactly what we saw. And then the next resistance is the 50-day, and zooming in, you can see, look, it's struggling right there at the 50-day moving average. That's not coincidence. The institutional trading algorithms, the big money investors, they use the exact methods that I'm showing you here. They keep things simple as well. horizontal support and resistance, clear trend lines, 50-day moving average, 200-day moving average, and they look to volume to as a confirmation of the move. All right, the last tool I'll show you that I use quite often now is Fibonacci support and resistance. And I typically use Fibonacci levels on pullbacks. So we've had a nice pullback across the precious metals complex. So here's all the Fibonacci tools right here. So I'll click on that arrow and find Fibonacci retracement. I'm going to click on that. And the way to do this is to start right at the low. So you want the extremes, right? So our big extreme low was back here in March, and we had the top here in August. So I like to draw mine here. You could have it go across your whole chart if you'd like this. I think that's a little bit distracting. So I like to have it all the way off at the side. Now I want to be really precise with this. So I want this to be exactly 29.92 to coincide with this top, and I want this to be coincide with the low, which was $11.64. So I'm going to click on this, and it brings up my settings tab up here, and I come to coordinates, and I'm going to set that lower one at 11.62, just like I said, and I'm going to set that top one at 29.92. Hit OK, and now I've got my Fibonacci support and resistance. And now you can see as you scroll in and out, this gets smaller and bigger, and you may want to move it. So a simple way to do that, again, would be to click on this here, bring up your settings, come over to coordinates, and you can actually move it over if you'd like, just like that. If you grab it and drag it, you're probably going to, it's going to be hard to stay right on exactly like $29.92. And you can do the same thing here if you want to move the other side further over. All right, guys, so that's how I create my charts. It really is that simple. I mean, there's tons of other things you can do here, and I think you'll just learn those over time. I don't want to overload you. I just want to show you the basics of how to get started. Now, the last thing I'll show you is my personal daily routine. So I've created this master watch list, and I look at all of these charts every single day. So what I do is I start right at the top, click on the S&P 500. I use the SPY ETF, and I set up, I like this one to be in the daily basic view, this one to be in my longer term view. So I'll click my template there. I like a weekly chart. There's my daily. This one I like to be hourly. And this one I use the 5-minute chart. And I don't really use the 5-minute chart after hours, but during the market hours, I'll look at this 5-minute chart quite a bit. And by the way, on my intraday charts, the only indicator I have is VWAP, volume weighted average price. And I would say that's the most significant level if you're intraday trading, which I don't think most of you are doing, so I'm not going to spend time on that. But you can see here just how it respects this VWAP throughout the day. It's kind of like the 200-day moving average for day traders. So what I do is I just come down here and I take some time and I go through each one of these charts and I stop and I think about it. And what price and volume do, they tune out all of the noise. I'm not reading everyone's opinions. I'm not seeing what everyone's saying on Twitter. I just turn on some quiet music, put on some headphones, and just let the price and volume speak to me. And just take some time and go through each and every one of these charts. And by the time I'm done with that, I've got a really good idea of what's going on in the market. So guys, that is my daily routine. I really hope you found this video helpful. Hopefully it wasn't too in-depth. Hopefully it wasn't too simplistic for you. And hopefully it provides a nice place for you to get started if you just started your premium account. And if you're brand new, I would encourage you to check out that free version of TradingView, and I'll put the button down below for that, and you can go ahead and get started there as well. So I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of the week. We'll talk soon, and God bless.